Chapter 6. Sport. Griffin was already a successful goalie in the Western Hockey League, the highest level of junior hockey in the country, when he started to think about vision therapy. He'd heard of other goalies who'd done vision therapy, especially ultra-high-performing ones in the NHL, so he asked for a referral. He was 18 years old, in excellent health, and without any obvious problems with his vision. He was a high-performing goalie who just wanted to be better. "I wanted to up my game," he says. "Obviously, I need to be able to see well. I need to see the puck." Pucks can travel more than 150 kilometers per hour. Testing revealed that his two eyes worked fairly well together, almost as well as an ordinary person's eyes, but he needed to be better than ordinary. So, he signed up for 12 sessions. He wasn't sure what to expect. His training consisted of a variety of activities. In one, he had to quickly tap dots that appeared randomly on a screen. At first, he says, he was able to tap just 60 dots in a minute, but after training, he could tap around 140. Another exercise was catching a beanbag while wearing strobe goggles, which obstructed his vision a few times each second. He says that the exercises have made his vision more consistent and reliable. He is better at seeing what's going on in his periphery, as well as better at seeing what's in front of him. Most importantly, it has made him measurably better at following the puck. His stats say it best. In the first half of the season, before vision training, his save percentage was .913, meaning he kept 91.3% of the shots out of the net. In the second half, after training, it was .917. It took him more than the expected 12 weeks to complete his sessions because he couldn't do homework on game days. It would cause fatigue. But he still uses a selection of vision therapy exercises as warm-ups before a game. He ties a long string to the bottom of a pole, for instance, and holds the other at his nose. Looking at the string that way, you don't see a straight line, he says, but rather an X at the point you're focusing on. Part of his warm-up is being able to mentally move that X smoothly up and down the string. He plans to continue with more vision therapy. "Your eyes are your most powerful tool," he says, "so why wouldn't you want them to be efficient?" When Griffin first came to us, he was already an awesome goalie, but he reported sometimes having difficulty tracking the puck or telling if it was on the ice or just slightly above. The testing showed very minor deficits with binocularity, but really, his visual system was in pretty good shape. The thing is, to be a great goalie, pretty good isn't good enough. To keep the puck out of the net, his vision has to be on the extreme high end, and our shared objective was to get him there. Some athletes are spooked to learn about any shortcomings in their visual systems and are reluctant to undergo the testing in the first place. Others believe that they are just naturally gifted and don't need to train in something as basic as seeing. Griffin, on the other hand, was unfazed. For an elite athlete, he was an incredibly humble guy. He knew vision training would help his game, and he was willing to work hard at it to see improvement. The underlying principles of vision training for athletes are similar to what we do for people who come to see us for other issues. The difference is we are shooting for a finer level of discrimination and forcing athletes to make even tougher judgments regarding space and depth. We may do many of the same activities, but a higher, more complicated level. For instance, we might still hang the little ball from the ceiling, and the athlete may still have to bat it back and forth and read what's written on it, but whereas a concussion patient may be lying down and batting slowly, an athlete might be balancing on one foot while counting up by sevens and batting the thing epically fast. In vision training for athletes, we are still working on moving the eyes accurately in response to a target, just to a higher level and at faster speeds. We want to load them up while they're performing, so the skill remains automatic, even under duress. A goalie doesn't have a lot of time to react, and he needs to react correctly every time. Another person I work with is a race car driver. The faster he can focus his eyes on the road and then refocus, the better. He needs to see his markers. He needs to not be visually fatigued. He says the combo of lenses and therapy is working. The average person may get little benefit from this higher level visual ability, but for a goalie, for a race car driver, for all sorts of elite athletes, it's essential. Griffin is coming back for a second season of training, so we can keep him performing at a high level and maybe get him even higher. But while Griffin and I may be convinced of the benefit, there are still plenty of doubters out there. Fortunately, there's now some science to back up how valuable vision therapy can be to sports performance. A study on baseball published in 2012 found that vision training improved the team batting average of the University of Cincinnati's baseball team, both compared to itself the previous year and compared to the average of other teams in the league that year. Here's how it worked. All players on the Cincinnati baseball team got both preseason vision training and in-season maintenance training. The preseason training consisted of 3 30-minute sessions per week for 6 weeks. The sessions used many of the same exercises we use in our center. For instance, they used the Brock string, the device Griffin described above when he was talking about trying to get his eyes to see smooth X's up and down a string. They also used strobe glasses, a variation on that dot tapping exercise, and a variety of other vision training exercises. The results were impressive. The team batting average increased from .251 in 2010 to .285 in 2011. They went from being ranked 12th in the Big East to being tied for 4th place. The study authors note that the U.S. Air Force Academy saw similar results after it introduced a comparable vision training regimen, but way back in 1994. They too increased their batting average from .319 to .360. While we can never be certain, the authors are assuming, and I agree, that the training is what made the difference for their team. Batters have only .17 seconds to decide whether or not to hit a ball, and if they do, how to swing. One of the exercises they specifically used works on hand-eye coordination, and other ones hone the ability of the eyes to focus at various distances. Others fine-tune the tracking of a moving object. Anecdotally, I've witnessed a case that fits with these findings. Chelsea, who you might remember from Chapter 1, happened to be a really good softball player. She'd been playing since kindergarten, and by the time she came to see me, she was playing on a rep team. She had just started her vision therapy in May, just before ball season began. Her mom, Janice, who was one of the coaches, says that before vision therapy, Chelsea struggled to evaluate the speed and location of the pitch and to get her bat to where the ball would be. She was one of the most inconsistent hitters on the team. Batting average is calculated by dividing the number of times a batter gets on base by the number of opportunities she has to hit. Chelsea started the season batting at 200, but within 4 weeks of starting vision therapy, her batting average had risen to 425. After 6 weeks, it was at 600. Chelsea, her family, her coaches, everyone was surprised. I love the batting story because it was so easy to see the relationship between the problem, the vision therapy exercises, and the outcome, says Janice, and it was so quick. More recently, her team won the Little League Junior Softball Nationals, and Chelsea led the team with her .588 batting average. I'm excited to be doing some work with a high-performance baseball program here in Victoria. As part of the program, the teenage athletes get extra coaching, intense fitness training, some game prep, and, new this year, vision training. I'm psyched for them. These are mostly kids whose parents know that the cost of a special program like this is likely to pay off in scholarship money down the road. A lot of people still see the cost of vision training as a huge barrier, which sort of surprises me, considering how much parents are already spending on all the other training for the sport. Somehow, vision remains the overlooked piece. There's another University of Cincinnati study I want to mention. This one looked at using vision therapy for harm reduction, specifically reducing the damage caused by head injury in football. Almost all of the efforts towards reducing concussions in football focus on tinkering with the equipment, and that strategy hasn't been very effective. This study raised the question of whether vision training can give added protection. In this study, all University of Cincinnati football players from the 2010 to 2013 seasons did vision training. They did 2 intensive weeks of preseason work, 6 days a week, 40 minutes per session, and then once a week maintenance during the season. As in the baseball study, athletes did a variety of exercises, including things like that tapping the target game and catching things while wearing strobe glasses. In this study, though, exercises were tailored to the specific position, so that quarterbacks did one set of exercises and linemen did a different set. The researchers compared how many players suffered concussions during the 4 seasons where they did vision training to how many suffered concussions in the 4 seasons immediately before, when they didn't do the training. They found that vision training is associated with a significantly lower concussion rate. It was, to be clear, dramatically lower, 9.2 concussions in the untrained group versus 1.4 concussions in the trained group per 100 player seasons. The improvement held true across different years, different coaches, and different players. It happened at a time when other universities were reporting an increase in concussions. In other words, although we can't know for sure, the lower concussion rate for their team likely had something to do with the vision training. The University of Cincinnati researchers think that concussions went down because players were more visually aware, and so they had fewer collisions. They knew there had been improvements in peripheral vision reaction time. They could measure that, and it got better with the training. Although that's very possibly the whole story, I wonder if there's an additional component. Namely, did the training also help fortify the players' brains against injury when they did happen to collide? The theory behind that is that vision therapy strengthens connections in the brain. Concussions and head injuries are caused when a force disrupts some of those connections. Do people who have more developed pathways due to vision therapy fare better after a crash? It's a question worth studying. Whatever the reason, if vision therapy reduces incidents of concussion in football players, I do wonder how any serious football team could afford not to make it part of their regular training. Here's what baffles me. Athletes get the importance of strength training, motor skills development, and nutrition. A player can be strong and still work hard to build muscle. A player can control a ball well and still work on ball handling skills. He or she can be well nourished but still see the point of protein or supplements. For some reason that I can't quite figure out, vision is left out of the equation. People seem to think that if an athlete can see anything at all, then there's no improvement to be made in vision. That's like saying if a sprinter can run fast, then she doesn't need to work on her calf muscles or her stride. Or if she's well fed, she doesn't need to pay attention to what she eats. That's ridiculous. Vision is no more binary than anything else in the body. Just because you can see, or even see well, doesn't mean you can't use visual information even more effectively to see even better. I'm not sure how we came to view vision in such simplistic terms, but I want to be clear. For serious athletes, it's naive to neglect your vision. As with everything else, visual ability has a spectrum, and performance can be enhanced through targeted training to move you up on the spectrum, just like anything else. Think about it. If a basketball player is always just slightly misjudging where the hoop is, he'll be wasting time and energy compensating, maybe shooting just a little harder or aiming just a little to one side. If a softball player slightly misjudges how close the ball is, he might be swinging just a bit early, unintentionally hitting the ball on its downward trajectory. Wouldn't it be better to hit it exactly where you intend to? In sports like baseball, hockey, soccer, and volleyball, awareness of depth and space and your periphery is key. You could be the hardest hitter, have the best spike, or take the most deadly shots, but all of your motor abilities depend on your visual system for the right calculations of where the target actually is or is going to be. Why not train yourself to be the best you can possibly be?